Hey guys, Missmaster1 here, and welcome to a special bonus episode. And you see nothing on the screen right now, just like the last bonus episode. But anyway, guys, this episode is going to just contribute to, a few other things I haven't showed off yet, because I want Riku's Stories finale to be the last video I upload before I start my next Let's Play, which I don't know when that's going to start, but let's not focus on that right now. But there's a few cards that I want to demonstrate, and there's actually a few cards that we couldn't get before now that at least by the time I'm recording this after I finish Riku's story, it's all done and stuff like that. But yeah, and I'll explain as the video goes on, but now we're going to go get some hidden cards that we're not usually meant to get during the storyline of the Sora's story, and then we're going to demonstrate all the boss cards, all like those boss enemy cards. So, let's get right to it. Okay guys, and the first card that we can get once we clear both Sora and Riku's mode is, actually there's two new Keyblades we can get, one of which being the Diamond Dust Keyblade, and you can find it in a random, Moogle card pack if you go visit them in Castle Oblivion after you finish both of Riku and Sora's stories. So now we got that out of the way, let's move on to the second Keyblade you could possibly find after. I'm pretty sure the only requirement for this one is you just have to beat Sora's story, but I know for a fact some of the cards we're going to require both Riku and Sora's completion of their stories to get. But if we go into a treasure room in Castle Oblivion after we beat Sora's story, we can get Ultimate Weapon, which is, supposed to be the best Keyblade in the game, so there you go. And of course, once you find all these cards, you can start finding them in random drops from like objects. Once we have like a Keyblade, we can find like random numbers of that and stuff like that. But if we come back into another treasure room in Castle Oblivion after we beat Sora and Riku's story, we can find Lexius's card right there. Alright, so now that we've done that, I'll show off all these cards eventually as well. Another little thing we can do is actually, if we head back to, if we end up heading back to Destiny Islands, we can actually get another card once we beat Sora and Riku's story that we couldn't get before, even if we did try to use the, Guarded Trove, Calm Bounty, whatever the hell you tried to do. But anyway, coming back all the way over here, I failed at climbing up this thing, so give me a little bit. I must have been like, I don't know, fucking drunk when I was recording this because I did some really stupid stuff. And of course I just decided like, yeah, it's a fence, it's a tree, what the hell am I doing? I'll break this down. And then I somehow managed, like, look at this shit. I just, like, clip right behind the enemy and I make it to the frickin' chest without having to fight any enemies, so that was pretty dumb. But if you look in there, you can find Zexian's card in a treasure chest in Destiny Islands. If we go back to Twilight Town, there's one more card we can also get. And I want to make a note of this, too. There's also another Keyblade called the One-Winged Angel, or, yeah, something like that. And I don't know how to get it. It's rumored that it's a treasure in Castle Oblivion as well after all this, but I couldn't find it. I'll just put a picture of it. But right there we have Ansem's card right there if we look in a chest in Twilight Town. Alright, so now that we've done all that, let's get started and start showing off all these cards that we have, all the boss cards. We're going to start off, I'm going to try to do this chronologically. First thing we're going to do is show off Guard Armor, and what he does is he allows a greater range for your attacks. Not in the sense that you can hit enemies from farther away, but when you're attacking them, they're more likely to hit. Like, when you do like that final attack, that range is like doubled or something like that. Alright, so now moving on to Jafar. Jafar's card is Attack Bracer, and what happens is that whenever you use cards, like just normally, without using them in slates, is that you essentially do more damage. It doesn't look like it does here, but trust me, it does if you manage to hit them from behind. Moving on to the next card, this will be Okie Boogie's card, and what he does is that, you see the regen right there. Over time, you just get your health regenerated over time, like that, and you see our health's going up a little bit at a time. And also right there was Parasite Cage's card. It didn't look like it did anything, but it actually nullifies the card that, an enemy is using if they're using a specific enemy card. It doesn't work with normal cards, but with certain cards like, like the cards the enemies might actually have, like in the secondary slot, like the ones we're using will be cancelled out. And this one is Attack Haste, which is the card from Wonderland, and what it does clearly is it just attacks the enemy really fast. It does not work with slates, so be careful about that. But being able to pretty much go like mad on the enemies is really satisfying to do, so neat little card. But I'm in the sense that we're pretty much going from some of the worst cards to some of the best cards in the game to use, because some of the cards near the end of this video are freaking amazing, and you'll see why later. But I'll just... Oh, and we also use the Trick Master's card, and if you actually look a few times, if you didn't catch that, sometimes you can break the... Sometimes I break their cards with a lower card, and that's what that card's ability allows you to do. Right here, I'm getting my health down to, like, no health. I use Hades card, which does a lot of damage, but you have to be in critical health to do it. As you can see, eliminating, like, you know, half bars of health with just, like, the final combo, and the first 2 hits will pretty much get rid of the first half, so it's a really interesting card, but it's very risky if you're going to be in low health a lot. I guess it might be a decent card, but otherwise, I probably wouldn't recommend it. This one right here is Captain Hook's card, and whenever you die, or whenever you're about to die with, like, you know... a few health left, you save 1 health, but if they continue to attack you, you die, so it doesn't really help at all. It's actually a really bad card. So, anyway, moving on. We have to use this card right now, which is Maleficent. The card that we've come to know and love is Riku. And, of course, with Sora, it has this advantage. I mean, yes, it's doing more damage, of course, that's what its ability is. Using that card allows you to do more damage. But as you'll see in a little while, like right here, you try to recharge your deck, it takes a lot longer than it would normally, so you gotta be careful about that. See, I'm just demonstrating that because they're getting attacks off on me, like quite a few, before I'm even able to do anything while I'm reloading my deck. So that's the one downside to it. It takes like 10 years to reload your deck, but you can get a decent amount of, you know, damage off, so if you feel like it's worth it, then fine. Darkseid's card there allows you to basically use the enemy card, which is like the secondary slot of cards. If they have a card that you don't have, you automatically adapt to that ability, so that could be a good card, but because I can't really fight any more bosses as Sora in his story anymore, it doesn't really help that much. And right here we have Slate Slog, which this ability allows us to pretty much use any slates that we want. And what happens is that when you reload the cards, you still get the cards from, like, the first card from that slate. No cards go away when you use, like, slates with this card. Okay, and now that we have that out of the way, we're going to move on to the organization cards, starting with Xemnas. The way Xemnas' card works is that I actually kind of fought this battle for the most part, but I wanted to get these 2 Neo Shadows left. And the thing that happens with Quick Berry is that if an enemy tries to do a combo attack on you, it stops after the second hit. So it's like, you saw that the guard popped up right there. It's because they wanted to try to do like a combo attack, but they only get their first attack off, and that's pretty much negates any other attack they have in that combo. So it's a little interesting, but I wouldn't see myself using it that much in a normal playthrough that I would do. This one right here is Xigbar's card. And there's a reason I have it lined up in this like order, and I'm not going to say why, but if you do know why, then you're awesome. Right here, he powers up like shot-based attacks, missile attacks. I don't know what that applies to. I just did that just because I thought that was the closest thing to what a missile attack did. Did a decent amount of damage, so maybe it was. Right here, this is, what is it? Zaldin's card, and it creates a little barrier around you, and until you get hit 3 times, you basically, what is it? You pretty much just have things to, like, negate the attacks that, well, you can just, like, knock enemies away without actually attacking them. And right here, I'm using Vexen's card. What it does is that it brings you back to life when you faint for the first time, just speeding up that little nonsense right there because, like, they couldn't hit me for some reason. But with Vexen's card, if you die, you get brought back with, like, you know, critical standing, and you can just use Kuraga right away to get brought back to full health, so it's pretty interesting. This one right here is Lexius' card, and what it does is that every time you break cards normally with a single card, you're supposed to warp back around them or something like that. Like, that's why it says warp break, is like you warp behind the enemy every time you break their card. But it doesn't really appear to do that. I'm not 100% sure what it's supposed to do. I mean, it says warp behind the enemy every time you break their card. Not really seeing that here, but, you know, it's there. I'm not necessarily sure if it's, you know, worth it if it doesn't work when it's supposed to. Maybe it only works on bosses or something like that. I'm not really sure. But anyway, let's move on to the next card. This is Xexian's card. And with Xexian's card, you can actually confuse the enemy, like, you know, I think you have to use single cards yet again. If you use single cards, you can actually confuse the enemy. Like right there, you see like the question marks coming around, like the dark ball and stuff like that. And when they're confused, they either attack themselves or they go to attack other enemies. So, interesting concept, but of course it doesn't work on bosses, so it's kind of useless in that sense. But if you have like a really tough fight in the game that you feel like you need, you know, like well, the thing is, you really couldn't use that actually because you need to beat Riku's story mode first. So you have to pretty much beat this game without, you know, using it. So I'll just demonstrate that since, you know, it's there. Also, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that, some cards that I picked up in my Let's Play were also somehow connected to Riku's card, like Riku's story in some way, because I picked up cards like the Roxas card, which I don't think you're meant to get. It's like, you know, Twilight Time when I got it, but I don't know, I think that's a rumor or like something. I'm not 100% sure on this because this game is really hard to know everything about. But this is Axel's card next, and the thing with Axel is that he has a quick recovery, which I didn't understand right away, because I thought when you're staggered that meant that you were like stunned, like I was a little while ago. What that actually means is that the moment the enemy hits you, you can actually use your cards, so it's like you can pretty much interrupt their combo while they're hitting you. And like this is stunned, but like right when you get hit is when you're staggered, and that's when that applies to it. So it can be useful, but again, you get it so late in the game, it doesn't help too much. This is Luxor's card, and what it does is that it's Omni Break, and you can pretty much break the card no matter what the value is. Like, it's essentially, it's like Trickmaster, but I think it's a little better in a sense. So that's just a little thing I want to clarify right there. I'm pretty sure they're essentially the same card, but you can break them with anything. Okay, and now we move on to Marluxia's card. Now, this is probably the best card in the entire fucking game, because I'll give you a little warm-up. You use a Slate, and you use it twice, and it works nice with strike rate and stuff like that. But watch this. You can use Sonic Blade twice in a row, and you can just obliterate the enemies. Like, it's amazing. You do a second Sonic Blade triggered immediately after that, and you just go to town on the fucking enemies. It's really, really overpowered, I'd say, so it makes sense that they give this to you, like, right after pretty much any other boss fight aside from Marluxia, which Sonic Blade doesn't help too much on. But still, it is very cool to look at, and it's very fun to use. So if you get your hands on this card, which you should if you actually beat the game, then definitely try it out, because it's probably one of my favorite enemy cards in the entire game. You can just decimate people with. Also, this is Larxine's card that I use. It makes you go a lot faster, and you can escape a lot of situations. Like that Neo Shadow can't catch up to me. It's pretty funny. Anyway, now we're moving on to the last two cards. This is going to be Roxas's card, and basically, it does double damage for every attack card, what the attack value is meant to be. So, you see right there, again, slates don't apply to this, but if you pay attention, like, some cards actually do, like, the cards are doing a lot more damage than they would normally. I also took the moment to apply the Diamond Dust and Ultima Weapon Keyblade card just for show, because I wanted to at least demonstrate I have those in my deck. I mean, they're decent cards. I don't see it being amazing. I guess if you use it, like, in a combo, it would be pretty amazing. I mean, they're really good cards, don't get me wrong, but it's like, if I've been able to make it through this whole game without really that much trouble with the cards I have now, then it's not really too important that I actually, you know, rely on those cards to do some more damage than I would normally. And one other thing, like, hang on, let me just do this real quick, just get rid of those enemies. We're actually going to demonstrate the final card, Anthem's card, which is Slate Blind, like Slate Blind. And essentially what that does, I honestly don't know. It, like, does something where your slate pretty much, can't be seen by enemies, so they can't prepare to break it or something like that. I don't know, maybe that AI applies to this game. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching this bonus episode of Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories. We shut off all the boss cards. And join me in the finale of Reverse Rebirth for the final video in the series. Thank you for watching this. I've been Mistmaster1, and I will see you guys in the finale for the epic conclusion of this Let's Play. And, well, guys, it's about to end soon. See you guys later.